What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web war fanatic, and today we'll be talking about the news that we got for Marvel Champions from PAX Unplugged, and if it was disappointing or not, and just the community perception over it. And I'll be reading a lot of comments here, from community members. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. So basically, I had a post and I asked you guys, Marvel Champions players, how do you feel about the anticipation for PAX Unplugged and the actual news that we received? So if you guys do not know, we did get a release timeline for the entire releases for 2026. So we know that we're gonna get the Defenders and Daredevil. So that was very hype. But a lot of us, including myself, expected to get news over the current environment and revisited heroes, revisiting those most popular heroes that are now out of print, like Captain America, Doctor Strange, and so on. And unfortunately, we did not get news about that. A lot of people also anticipated a Core Set 2.0. I also personally believe that we would be getting one. And yeah, I was wrong. We did not get a Core Set 2.0. I actually didn't want to get one. So I'm glad that I was wrong about that. But I think that that would have also given us a lot more information about what's to come with the current environment. And we did not receive any news regarding that there, but they did give us the news is for all the releases for 2026. But also the flip side of that, knowing everything that's going to be coming out in 2026 also basically confirms that we are not getting any revisited heroes in 2026, next year. And we also will not be getting a core set 2.0. So it's kind of like almost maybe a little bit of a negative news, as well as getting the good news of getting Daredevil, which I'm personally really hyped about. I know that a lot of people in the community are also really hyped about. So I just want to talk a little bit about and kind of go in depth here and figure out, was PAX Unplugged overhyped, by Fantasy Flight Games? Or did the community, including myself, did we kind of overhype it and expect things that weren't really promised here, right? So for this poll here, personally, the way that I felt about the news at PAX Unplugged, getting the Daredevil announcement and everything, I was hyped because Daredevil, he is a heavy hitter as promised, and biasly, I love Daredevil, right? So I think it's really cool that we are getting him soon. So I'm super hyped for him. But at the same time, I also had some questions here regarding the environment. So I would probably voted for the second option right here if I saw this poll myself and I was someone voting on it right here, where I don't mind it. I'm happy that we're getting Daredevil, but I still have a lot of questions. And then this poll here, it's a little bit early. I just posted this 4 hours ago, so only about 300 people voted. I think most of these polls will get around 1,000 votes. Like this post I had here asking you guys, what do you prefer to see for the new releases in Marvel Champions, the silhouettes, or the full release timelines for a year? And 80% of you guys wanted the full timeline here. I think that that's probably the way to go as well. But yeah, back to this poll right here. Most of the time though, these polls, I think that 300 votes is going to be pretty indicative of the same percentages whenever it hits 1,000. So it's not going to change by that much just from what I've normally seen with the polls on my channel. So we have 62% of people that are very, very happy that we're getting Daredevil, and 27% don't mind that we're not getting any news about the current environment, but they still have some questions and some curiosity, same as I do. And 11% of people, that vote on the poll, they feel underwhelmed, they're disappointed, and they want some information about the current environment. So almost 90%, 89% here for 62 plus 27. Most people actually are completely fine with the information given at PAX Unplugged. However, on Reddit and from a lot of posts and a lot of people that are actually commenting on Reddit, it seemed like a lot of people weren't that happy with it. So let's hop over here to a Reddit post right here where people are asking about our thoughts and reactions to the in-flight report here. So we have a comment here from FFG Olivia. She's a community manager for Marvel Champions, and she says here, I'm going to be honest, I genuinely thought that revealing a whole year of content, in that timeline, revealing everything that will be coming out in 2026 for Marvel Champions, all at once will be seen as big news to the community. So yeah, this is really big news, right? This has never ever happened before in the entire lifespan of the game Marvel Champions, as far as I know. So definitely since I've been playing the game, right? So to get a whole year, That's a lot more information than they've ever given us in the past. Usually they do a lot of surprises, right? We get like silhouettes, what I was talking about before with the prior polls, right? Normally for the heroes, we don't know what heroes we're getting. We just get like these silhouettes and we like guess and speculate, which is also fun in itself on what we're gonna get. But now we got this full release timeline right here. I think I have a photo over here. Yeah, so like this full timeline showing, 2026 exactly what we're getting, right? We're getting Daredevil here with Echo and the Fear No Evil expansion. We're gonna get a Jessica Jones Luke Cage hero pack. We're getting the Shaolin snare pack and so on, right? So we know exactly for a whole year. So I guess like for Fantasy Flight Games, I mean that's pretty different. It's pretty big, and I think for us fans too. I mean that's crazy to know all of that. And a lot of people, I mean, I think most people loved it, right? 81% of people of you guys that voted, prefer this whole timeline than just getting these silhouettes. So I think that that's good. And then she also says that she's sorry that that might have been overselling the in-flight report. And then coming in, it felt like it would be a great way to reassure people that the game is very alive and well, which I do think that, us getting Daredevil is good news for the game because I don't know, I feel like a lot of the posts talking about not getting Daredevil and getting like, these D-list heroes. No offense to Hulkling and Tigra and fans of the characters. I know that I actually have some big fans of Hulkling and Tigra, but they are, the lesser well-known characters and they are like D-listers, in Marvel. So a lot of people thought that we're getting that following Agents of Shield, like just a bunch of Shield characters. Like, when are we gonna get like a heavy hitter A-list character like Daredevil? And a lot of people thought that the game was dying and falling off because we were getting, those lesser well-known heroes. So I can definitely see where Olivia is coming from here. That Daredevil is like the confirmation, like okay, the game is doing well. We're gonna bring in so many new players because of Daredevil. I think probably not to the extent of like X-Men, but I know that X-Men brought in a lot of new players to Marvel Champions because X-Men is such like a big franchise and like a big name and all of that. So I think Daredevil was also quite big, and probably a lot of new players would be like, oh, I really like Daredevil. I want to check out the game Marvel Champions. And then they say here for discussions about out of print stuff, I wouldn't generally expect those sort of conversations to happen during an in-flight report. Okay, so I mean, I didn't know that. And then the report is mostly intended to let people know what is coming in product lines and not necessarily about like the environments and stuff like that. And then they apologize here. Sorry for getting people's hopes up. And then I hope that the in-flight was still informative, and I look forward to getting to play the Defenders with people who have been dying to see them, right? So that's kind of the sentiment here. And the sentiment, Olivia had to actually make this post because a lot of people on Reddit were commenting, pretty disappointing stuff, how they're disappointed and kind of upset that they're pretty unhappy that, we didn't get any information about the current environments. And I think that that is understandable. I personally also expected to get information regarding that too, right? So I'm a part of that community that expected to see that. So let's hop back to this post over here. And I got a really interesting comment here from Alexi. He, also voted for that middle option. And he's excited for champion stuff. Defenders isn't his favorite, but he still likes Defenders a lot. And with regards to the current environment, I can't remember if it was ever explicitly stated that it would be addressed, but I'm sure it was heavily hinted, at which then with word of mouth, it became a certainty that, we would be getting information about the current environment stuff during that PAX Unplugged announcement. And then I'm one of those people who has everything so far, so it doesn't affect him that much. So, but you can see how it's very frustrating for people that don't have everything and that want, to play like Captain America or Doctor Strange or like those older heroes that we still don't have an official announcement regarding that. Yeah, he makes a really good point here that he can't remember if it was ever explicitly stated. And personally, I can't remember either. I thought it was, but maybe it wasn't. So I kind of went back. So here's like the one of the original posts that Olivia made, way back when, right? This is like a month ago. And reading her post right here in regards to, all the out of print and everything. So she explicitly mentions PAX Unplugged right here. And we look at this paragraph, it says, all that said, I can confidently say that the game's future is looking brighter than ever. 2026 is looking to be a really great year for Marvel Champions, and you'll get a lot of insight into that at the in-flight report next month, at PAX Unplugged. So, like, I almost feel like this right here is heavily hinting at you guys will know everything that's coming out in 2026, or we'll get a timeline for all 2026. And I don't know. I don't know this is misleading. Maybe it is, but it's also kind of like straightforward as well, right? Like we got the entire releases for the whole year. So like We know everything about that, and we got the information at PAX Unplugged. And then she adds on here, we're not expecting the game to stand on only lesser known heroes, and you can rest assured that your favorites will return in one way or another. So like I think that well I know that a lot of the community concern was regarding those lesser known heroes, and then that a lot of people also talked about like stuff is out of print, but also we got Agents of Shield, we have no Daredevil, right? Like these are like points people made all kind of in one go. And we're not expecting the game to stand on lesser known heroes, but then it also does say here, and you can rest assured that your favorites will return one way or another, right? So like return means get revisited. And I mean, so like this part right here definitely hints at getting like, a new Captain America or like a new Doctor Strange, like a return to those, fan favorites. But like, I don't know, like it's tough because this is in a different paragraph from this. And obviously, I think that I'm probably maybe digging too much into this, but like it's tough. Like it definitely was never explicitly said, but I think it's so close. Like the paragraphs, I mean, it's all kind of, in one thing. I think you can definitely interpret, either way. I don't think that there's any wrong way to interpret it, right? Yeah, it's just that Fantasy Flight Games never explicitly said that we will be getting information about out of print stuff, but they did also say that we will be getting a lot of answers to a lot of our questions, right? And at the same time, I can see their side of like, I know that some questions are regarding the out of print stuff, but there were also a lot of questions regarding what hero is coming out. Are we gonna keep on getting D-listers? Because I know I personally seen a lot of people say like, hey, we just keep on getting D-listers. Are they ever gonna drop Daredevil? Like, are we ever gonna get Daredevil? Right? I've seen posts only saying like, okay, are we getting Daredevil? So like at the same time, I can see that as also answering questions and people asking, what's gonna be releasing in 2026. Like, can we get more information? Can they stop with the secrecy? And at least with 2026, there are no more secrets for that year, right? We have the whole entire timeline, so we know exactly what we're getting in 2026. But at the same time, I know that we want to know more. We want to know when are we getting revisited heroes, and if that's happening soon, and what's going on with the current environments, and what that's going to be. So like, I get that, but it's tough. It's definitely tough. I think that I don't know, like maybe it could have especially been said that, hey, there will be no information about current environments, during that PAX Unplugged announcement. It will just be for like releases for 2026, and we have like a new thing coming that's gonna like kind of like give you guys more information at once, like that timeline versus like just getting silhouettes, for each wave, and you guys gotta guess which hero, at a later time. It's definitely tough. I'm not sure, what the correct answer is here, and why a lot of the community, including myself, felt that we would be getting more information, but then we didn't necessarily get that information. But then it's kind of like they never explicitly said that. So yeah, it's definitely a tough one. And I definitely don't think that the part of the community that is frustrated and disappointed, you guys aren't wrong. And it's totally valid to feel that way. But I don't think that Fantasy Flight Games ever explicitly said that, even if they kind of unjustly hinted at that, which still isn't, a great thing to do. I'm not sure. I think it can be argued though, right? It's definitely not set in stone. I want to hop over here to another Reddit comment here. And this person right here is, quoting someone else saying that your marketing strategy has relied on the idea of surprises to build hype. And I don't think that's helpful. And they also go on to say, that's all the more true when more information about the possibility of new sets based on alternate heroes has been raised but not elaborated upon at all. Some longer term discussion that's more concrete than we're really excited about the future of the game would go a long way. And then they're kind of saying here, like this kind of like the smoking gun, that Olivia said this, and like this completely like doesn't answer this question here. And she says, I completely agree that vague comments aren't very helpful. Our in-flight report next month will have a lot of information fans are looking for. So like the thing is, even this quote right here and Olivia's direct answer, I don't think that, like this person says, I don't see any way to interpret that as I agree with your comment, but tune in next month for information unrelated to your comment. I I don't see this like at all. And I don't know if you guys see this. Let me know down in the comments if like that's how you're kind of seeing this. So what I see is like your marketing strategy, this is the criticism, has relied on the idea of surprises to build hype. Well, yeah, so let's jump back over here. Like they've been using silhouettes and like they've been kind of like not giving us a lot of information on what's going to release, throughout a year. So Fantasy Flight Games has been using that, to build hype. So I totally agree with that. And then they're saying that they don't think that that's helpful. And then they do say stuff about our print heroes, right? So it's kind of like all in like one sentence. They're saying like a bunch of things. And Olivia does say here, she agrees that vague comments aren't helpful. The in-flight report next month would have a lot of the information that fans are looking for. So like, I, this doesn't cover everything here, but she's not saying that it's gonna have all the information that fans are looking for, just a lot of it. And she did say here in her comment here that she thought that, I generally thought that revealing a whole year of content at once would be seen as big news to the community. And we see in a comment here, the marketing strategy that has relied on the idea of surprises to build hype. Well, I mean, this comment addresses that, right? Like PAX Unplugged directly addressed that. From the PAX Unplugged announcement, we see that they are no longer, at least for 2026, they're no longer using, this idea of surprises to build hype. They are straight up giving us these full release timelines for the entire year. So like, obviously we don't have a guarantee that they're going to do this every single year going forward, but like we know at least for 2026, they are not doing, this thing anymore to build hype, right? This has changed. And this was completely answered, during PAX Unplugged, like that in-flight report, right? So like, it's tough because I see definitely like one part was answered and then the part with the opera heroes was not touched on at all. So like, I don't know, guys. Let me know down in the comments. Does that feel kind of like icky to you, or like do you guys think that that's completely fine? I just feel like that this comment here of like I interpret that as I agree with your comment, but tune in next month for information unrelated to your comment. I just don't agree with that. I feel like that there is relation to it, but there could have been more transparency and more of like, okay, we won't be addressing this part, but like you guys will be, we will be addressing this part. And there are a lot of comments that have both parts in their comments, like a lot of complaints, I mean, where people are saying, man, like the our print situation stinks. I wish we got more information, but also like stack that on with like us getting D-list heroes. Like these two things combined makes it feel really bad, to us players. So like I get both sides, guys. I think that it's definitely a tough situation. I'm not saying that there wasn't a better way to handle it. There definitely was, but at the same time, I mean, I don't think that you can say that they explicitly said that we will be getting, information about our print heroes or information about the environments. And I think that they did answer some parts of the community. And, from what the community perception here was, I'm actually feeling a lot more positive about this after reading y'all's comments here, because I think that whenever I first saw news about Daredevil, I was like very neutral almost. Like I was like hyped for Daredevil, but at the same time, a little bit disappointed. But, seeing this poll here, where like the majority of you guys, overwhelming majority, almost 90% of you guys did, have a positive impression of the PAX Unplugged announcement, like more positivity than negativity, right? Like the way that, I word these was to feel like, if you guys are feeling positive and more hyped than, disappointed and underwhelmed, you would vote for these two options right here, right? This one's kind of more neutral, but, still kind of like not really upset, right? Like I don't mind it. Versus this option here is kind of like, I'm upset. I feel underwhelmed. I feel disappointed. I want information about the current environment. So like, it seems like even though there are a lot of people, on Reddit complaining that, we're not getting information about the current environment, I do feel like that the majority of people, are okay with it. And maybe it's more of like a vocal minority of people that have the complaints. But, oftentimes the vocal minority are the loudest voices. So like, that's even why Olivia had to come out here and make this comment right here, on the post about what are your thoughts and reactions for the Fantasy Flight Games in-flight report, right? So, but I definitely think that this is one of those situations that like there's no like direct thing to like blame, right? It's not like Fantasy Flight Games explicitly said that we will be giving information about, current environments or like our print stuff, but at the same time, like a lot of us in the community, including myself, did think that it was kind of hinted at just because the answers weren't directly clear, right? So like, yeah, I think that, all opinions here are valid and you can definitely interpret it either way. I just kind of want to get the facts here, what explicitly was said and what was not said. Let's go through some of the comments here on that post that I had. So here's a comment here from Kyle Green. Shouts to Kyle. I do want to specify before we read his comment that Kyle is a very positive guy, super positive over all the news that we've gotten from our champion so far. So maybe this might be slightly skewed for positivity. And he says here that I did expect info on a course at 2.0. I think I also kind of expected this, but thought that their PAX info was fantastic. Defenders as a whole are great, and I love the year timeline. Yeah, I love that year timeline as well. And he thinks that it lived up to their teases and delivered. So, some people do think that it lived up to their teases and delivered, although we do see a vocal group of people, complaining about that not necessarily being how they feel, which I do think that both sides, are valid and have valid opinions. Here's a comment here from the Cut to Canadian. Huge shouts to Cut to Canadian. He says, very happy to see Daredevil. While it would be nice to have answers on what's happening with the outprint products, the fact that the game looks to be going strong makes me happy. Yeah, I do think that, seeing Daredevil does give a lot of people, including myself, confirmation that the game is going strong. We're finally getting Daredevil. And yeah, I think that we do want information about the outer print products, but overall, I think everyone's happy to see Daredevil here. And here's a comment here from Curtis. Huge shout out to Curtis. There seems to be a misunderstanding that there will be more news other than upcoming product releases. The Defenders is a really awesome upcoming wave with some big name heroes compared to 2025. Yeah, I totally agree with this. Definitely, not only is the Defenders a really awesome wave compared to a lot of the more recent waves that we got, in 2025, but there's some sort of misunderstanding here, and whether that's on the community or whether that's on FFG, I'm not sure, guys, but I do want to know. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Is this misunderstanding more from Fantasy Flight Games part, or think that it's kind of the community and us talking, myself included, obviously, talking about, hey, I think we're gonna get information about a core set 2 or like a revisited Captain America, right? I know that I definitely believe that we would be getting that as well. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Is it just kind of us kind of like spiraling and talking on about it, or like did Fantasy Flight Games also kind of like hint at that and didn't really deliver? And we also have a comment here from the Delusional Miner 2. I picked the middle option as I love the announcements and can't wait to see what they do with the characters, but the lack of any clarity around the environments and the underlying plan model is still really frustrating. Yeah, I think that this is what everyone is concerned about. Some people more concerned than others. I'm also, concerned about this, but reading all the positive comments here on YouTube definitely made me feel better about the announcement, and I am feeling less concerned here. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, guys, but yeah, that's just kind of my take on it right now. I think that both sides are valid. I think that Fantasy Flight Games definitely could have been more explicit with saying that, hey, there will be no information about the outer print products, during PAX. But at the same time, I don't think that Fantasy Flight Games ever explicitly said, hey, we are giving you information on, the outer print products. They were more so saying, hey, there will be a lot of information coming out for Marvel Champions in 2026. And they kind of delivered on that, right? Because we did get that full year timeline for Marvel Champions, next year. And I went through a little bit of that here in this video, but I did want to see if there was ever like a question where someone directly asked about out of print, and if there was ever a time where Fantasy Flight Games directly responded and said, wait for PAX Unplugged to that. And I personally could not find that, right? So I think that each time that someone, raised a complaint, they mentioned, a couple of complaints, right? Not just out of print, but also like we have lesser well-known heroes this year. Are we gonna get Daredevil? Are we gonna get like a more well-known, heavy hitter character? And definitely in my interview with Olivia, I never had the impression that PAX Unplugged will be covering everything, just that we will be getting some questions answered at PAX Unplugged. And at the most, biggest confirmation that I got from the interview was that we'll be getting an A-list hero. And in my opinion, Daredevil definitely is that A-list hero. He is the most sought after hero that Marvel Champions players have been asking for, for like since I've started playing the game, right? So like the past 2 or more years, right? So yeah, I feel like that they delivered on that. But at the same time, I could definitely see the perspective and the side of them not delivering on information for the outer print heroes. Lastly, I do want to try to end this video on more of a positive note here. So this was a comment by Olivia, 1 month ago, on this same post that she made right here. So this is way before, PAX Unplugged. And she did say here, our in-flight report next month will have a lot of information that fans are looking for. I can't say everything that is going to be discussed there, but I can say that there will be a lot of information specifically for Marvel Champions fans included in that presentation. Okay, this does hold true. We intend on providing a solid amount of information during the presentation. Also, we're already working on the content for the beginning of the new year that will help give even more concrete information about these things. So like, I think this is implying that there's going to be more information for a lot of the questions here at the beginning of the new year. And I trust you all to understand that I'm not in a position to review everything right now, but I really encourage you to stay tuned for November 22nd. So that's going to be PAX Unplugged right there, which already passed. And, we got some information there, but I think that we can expect more information, in the upcoming year, hopefully about the print situation now that there has been a little bit of fallback from the community. So yeah, this is me trying to see what the community is thinking about everything, and see that why we have this miscommunication here, where a lot of us, myself included, thought that we would be getting information about the out of print stuff and like the current environment, and why we didn't. And yeah, hopefully this can give you guys some answers in terms of like what Fantasy Flight Games actually said. And it's open for you guys for interpretation if you guys think that it was implied or if it was not implied, but I don't believe that it was ever explicitly said. I've been reading every single one of y'all's comments. You guys know that I reply to all my comments, and I think that the majority of people do feel pretty good about it, and that makes me feel better about it as well. But definitely the people that don't feel as good about it and are disappointed, and y'all's opinions are definitely valid as well, and I want to hear that as well. So let me know that in comments, guys. As usual, let me know what you guys think about this situation, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.